Good morning. Today is August 24th. The sun is in Virgo. The moon, I forgot to check where the moon is. It's either in Capricorn or Aquarius. Probably moving right between them. Cusp. And I had the feeling to start with this spider in the middle today. Spider has been very prevalent lately, but it's about the web. It's about the web. And learning to trust it. To trust your own skill at weaving. Depending on the way the light is angled in comparison to your perspective, when you see a spider in a web, it can look as though it is suspended in mid-air. But the web is there. And even when the web is destroyed, because that happens constantly to spiders, large, clumsy beings walk through them all the time. Or a strong wind or a storm. Though a spider web can hold up against most wind, but the point is if the web is destroyed immediately, the spider starts making a new one. Because the web is not really destroyed, because the pattern for it exists inside the spider. Anywhere the spider goes, the web is there. They just have to make it. But the template for it, the structure for it, the pattern for it already exists. It is carried within the spider. And that's stability. So if you feel that something that you are creating has suddenly been blown apart, blown away, come apart, it hasn't really. A person's life, we tend to use that phrase in connection to all of the external events that surround people, their connections to other people, their work, the events they go to, the community relationships they have. That isn't really true. That's the most outer layer. A life, an existence. If you think of the web as the structure of personal existence that somebody lives inside of, it's all generated from the inside out. It begins with the small daily actions and patterns. Internal as well as external. The routines for how you take care of yourself, your space that you live inside of. Your internal routines. As much as the external ones, they reflect each other. And the consistent ways that you interact with the world, with other living beings, with spaces, with objects. The way you treat those things, as well as yourself, all of those are the real backbone. That is the invisible connective tissue that is holding everything together, and that does not, when the most sort of physical, tangible trappings change, new things will appear. That is a law of reality. When there is a space, something will come in to fill it. And if you are maintaining your pattern of existence, your way of being, that spider, weaving its web wherever it goes, then you can trust very easily in that to draw in the correct things. I'm being drawn to the contrast. These are two distinct signatures. Here we have, this is a very rooted signature. Number 14, breaking down to a 5 here with the dog. This is somebody who is inside themselves, connected to their own vessel. She's standing very straight, very tall. There's a certain level of physical, bodily awareness, sensory awareness. The power of being present within the physical vessel. There's all of this sort of smoky pattern in the air. And this is a much more intangible this is feeling like an entity. And that can be perceived the way that I understand the world. Everything comes from inside, and anything that we experience as an external entity is I'm getting blocked. Just leave it. I'm not here to explain my whole worldview, my whole spiritual belief. You will know what this means for you. But look at how this pattern connects. It is coming from her. It is coming from her. So there's an awareness of your own container. Okay, that's what, and that connects to the web. The idea of the web. The awareness of your own container and how it is a responsive thing. Spaces are alive. Spaces are made of vibrating, condensed energy as much as we are. And there's some level of psychic communication happening here. Okay, oof. So there might actually be something about communicating with beings, I'm just going to say that, who are not in bodies, whatever flavor that may take, that are connected to specific spaces. Learning how to interact with them, because if you are somebody who perceives those things, there is a high level of boundaries and awareness of codes of conduct that is important to learn and understand. And that is something that is specific to you. Every person has a different way of interacting with these things, a different relationship, and a different pattern for doing so that is best for them, that is their way. How you relate to different spaces, how they greet you, how you greet them. What kind of psychic culture do you cultivate? Within each one. How do you make your web? Yeah, this is a meeting. And we have 14 and 41. That's a mirrored frequency. I almost want to put it like this. And 32 breaks down to a 5 as well. 5, 5, 5, 6. That's big pivot energy. And even here, she is playing this instrument in the center, and there's this pattern to one side and this pattern to the other side they are not the same, but they are mirroring each other. And they are both being generated from her. So you're meeting a reflection today. You are meeting a manifestation of some kind of internal thought form. Pardon me, belief. I'm going to read what the book says for these cards. For number 14, keep calm and start your internal change today. Facing number 32, don't be afraid of change. Make the first step. So we have 3 5s here, which is the number of change. 2 cards speaking about change, about handling it calmly and embracing it. So that seems quite clear. Number 6. Resolve a conflict and come to an agreement. Look for harmony and balance. So something is being resolved. Rebuild. And this does feel very peaceful. Very peaceful. Can you tell me about the conflict? Two of Cups. Four of Wands. Five of Wands. Ten of Pentacles. It's about environment. And long-term foundations. Trying to find stability. To create a structure, trying to find that proper place to build the web. And it's involving other people. And it's about a landing space. A landing space. But it has already been resolved, even if you don't realize it. The landing space is there. But the it feels like the difficulty is coming from trying to balance how to independently weave your own existence, what you are making, but allow for the fact that every other person is also weaving their own existence. And how do those intersect? Because they do intersect all the time, whether we want them to or not. And people are at very different levels of awareness and intentionality around how that happens. We are creating together anytime we interact. We are creating together. And things get delicate when one person is aware of that and another person is not. But this is King of Swords. Where does this King of Swords go? This is sort of a frequency of pure conscious He's landing, he's right in between. And everything happens in the space between. And this is pure King of Swords, is air on air. And he is falling as the membrane that is separating these two. This feels like a mediating energy. It feels like very calm. Calm, logical conversation. Wheel of Fortune, change. Which is what is coming out of this conversation. That's what's being discussed. The wheel, it's turning. How do we align ourselves with the turn? How do we work together? But I like the fact that he has this Two of Cups. Beneath him, because this is very kind of analytic. Discernment, but it has emotion connected to it. It has empathy. Can you tell me about the change, and then we're going to close this out? Change must come what may. Every day becomes night, every night becomes day. the Empress and the High Priestess, and the King of Cups on the bottom here, which is interesting because as I was speaking about the Two of Cups and the King of Swords, I started seeing the King of Cups card and thinking about that card. So it actually feels as though there is this, and he is almost becoming the King of Cups. And that's the transformation. That's the change. So down here we have a lot of uncertainty. It's like a juggling feeling around maybe around resources. But it's broader than that. It's there's just been a lot of questions. It feels questions, sort of confusing, shifting, not knowing which way to turn, what is really stable. And actually something feels a bit unbalanced, like we have two parties here. Two parties. On the left side, there is someone who is embodying a lot of presence and personal power within their vessel. And they have been experiencing this sort of disruptive all this conflict. And on this side we have it's just sort of pure abundance is the feeling. And real long-term stability and success. This even could be to a past and a future self, but I don't want to get too that kind of thing. There's been a lot of dreaming. There's been a lot of dreaming. There has been a lot of analyzing. Potentially planning. But those two things have been in some level of conflict with themselves. It is though the vision that you dream of, the thing that you feel, the inspiration that you have, feels unhoused, it feels unstable, it feels... I just hit the mic, sorry if that made a sound. And it's all like flowing together, being integrated together. Up here. And suddenly he is standing on top of the dream here, and it's a bit dominating here. Now he's seated inside of it. And she is seated, this high priestess. And the Empress is standing in the water. There's a level of perspective, maintaining that perspective, not being lost in the dream. But it feels good. It feels really good. Lush. It feels lush. Tropical. Like there's just a flow. Life can just be good. It can just be good. And a way of resolving the conflict within yourself is also to speak to those parts of yourself as they express externally, which is what's happening here on some level. On some level. Okay, we're gonna close this out. Bye for now.